saved our publisher for last. And actually, we might have a surprise guest. I have somebody that I've reached out to who also has the book and enjoyed it, but I'm not sure she's going to show up. But in any event, our next scheduled speaker, and she'll be calling in by phone, is Jo Wilkins, whose company, Mystic Publishers, saw the power of smart women, wise choices. And I was so excited when I met with Jo, because I went there to interview her actually on Jackie Ray's behalf, and I brought, I think, a sample chapter, and wasn't even thinking that she was going to accept the book right there. And it was, yes, nobody's doing this. And so we had it almost immediately that we've got a publisher for Jackie Ray, and that is so exciting.
Yes.
To have someone else be there for you and step forward and say, no, I'm going to handle this. So Jo, are you on the call? Are you here?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Yes.
I finally got in. Thank you for inviting me. Most of the time, people don't want to hear from the publisher. They only want to hear from the author. What would you like me to, besides the fact that we were tickled to death to get Jackie's book to start with, what would you like me to expand on?
Well,
I mean...
Well, you've read the book, obviously. You published it. And one of the things, what hit me today, actually, is you are an entrepreneur. I know you have partners, but this is a company that you established and that you're running with your partners. And so you are an example of what it means to be an entrepreneurial woman.
Well, you could call me a reluctant entrepreneur. When this whole thing started because I was writing a book with a gentleman down in Tempe, and he said to me one day when we were getting our first book published, he says, we're going to become a publisher. And I said, we are? And he says, yes, and you're going to run the business. And I went, I am? Because, you know, I mean, I'm probably the shyest person that crawls into the woodwork, you know, every time there's more than 5 people in the room. It's really hard for me to get out and do things. But I started the Henderson Writers Group in the year 2000, and that's 2003 we started, Richard and I started helping people self-publish their books. 2003 is also the year that I started the Las Vegas Writers Conference that's still going on. It's if you can stay in the background and you can help people who have something to give, like Jackie does, it's fulfilling for me. I don't want to be the face out in the front, you know, but our authors are they're talented people, and a lot of them would not get their books published if they were going to a traditional big house publishing company like Simon & Schuster and like that, because they don't want to work with new authors. And that's our goal, is to work with new authors that have a good product that we think will sell. And when I saw Jackie's book, I mean, it was like the light bulb went off. I just couldn't believe that you guys were coming to us, because we're a small little company. We've been in business for about 10 years in the traditional end, and we've got probably 40 books, but I think one of our best sellers is going to be Jackie's book, because it's easy to read, it's precise and to the point. She didn't write over everybody's head, if you know what I mean. You get some people that I have to show how smart I am, so I'll write you know, all these big words and everything. You could understand it, and it was right there, the information that you needed. You didn't have to dig to find it, and that's what I liked about it. It's just, I can't tell you. It's even helped me. My background, my mother was in the 50s and 60s. She owned 50s, 60s, and 70s. She owned her own beauty shops, and she never had less than two at a time. And she was extremely good at business and, you know, and all of that. And here I was, her little mousy little daughter that, you know, I was always in the background. And when Richard said, we're going to do this business, I went, not me. I can't do that. I'm not my mom, you know. But it's worked out really well. I mean, I get to do some really fun things. I get to format books and all this stuff that I just love to do, and coaching authors that are not quite there, but have the ability to do it. And I've even got to teach writing classes at the local senior center. I'm just thrilled with doing this business. And when I started looking into Jackie's book, we grew a little because I found some things that we hadn't done that we needed to do. And so you've even helped us, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Do you have any questions? Does anybody have any questions about publishing their books? I don't know. I really don't have a whole lot more to say.
Well, I do.
Okay.
You have been just excellent to work with. And it was really important for me that I found a woman publisher. And so the relationship of the book and the material in the book, and giving it to a publisher that was female, could identify with it, could say it's a bunch of baloney, or gee, I really liked it, I learned from it, I'd love to publish it. And that was a very exciting time for me. And since we are also geographically very close to each other as far as home and offices, I can talk and ask you things and just show up sometimes. I so appreciate it. And I think you're an outstanding example of a woman publisher.
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but I know at times Richard feels like he's in the minority because our other partner is a woman too. And she takes care of all the editing portion, and I take care of the formatting and the organization, and then Richard does the IT and the covers. And he works really hard with our authors to make sure that the cover pleases them as much as we think it's going to sell. Because there's a technique to putting together a cover that's going to draw the attention of the person that's going to read the book. And that makes it, well, I lost my train of thought here. That makes it part of the marketing of the book. Are you not hearing me?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
very definitely.
Okay. All right. It's just what?
I have a question. How does someone determine whether they should find a publisher or self-publisher? Themselves.
Okay, self-publishing is something that if you know a lot about marketing and you've had a complete, and I mean a complete edit on your book, you can usually do that. It costs a little more in some realms, you know, but you have to be sure that you're working with a reputable company. If you're going to be self-published, you need to check with the state's attorney, the Better Business Bureau of the places where the company is located. do that first, because if you don't, you can get in with some really bad ones. There's a couple of the vanity presses that have had to leave the U.S. One is in Korea now that I know of, because they have so many lawsuits against them. You know, but they're still publishing books for people. It just doesn't make any sense. Another one I know, they knew nothing about publishing or writing. They were just entrepreneurs who wanted to start a business. And they said, oh, publishing is a good business, let's do that. And it turned out to be disastrous for some people. I mean, if you knew what you were doing and you had your editing done and, you know, all your ducks were in a row, you could get through it without having any problems. But if you were like most people, I've got a book, I want to publish it, what do I do? Well, send it to us, and they publish it exactly the way it is, without any editing, without anything. And self-publishing is kind of, in that vein, it's really hurting the publishing business. Because people look at it and say, why do I want to buy a book? It's going to have all kinds of errors and everything in it. You know, you're never going to find a book that doesn't have a typo in it. I don't care who does it. Because it's just with all the people that go down the line. You know, I picked up a Simon and Schuster book. On the first 4 pages, I found 6 typos.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just how many people have to look at it, and how many, you know, hopefully you only have one copy that they're working on. But I don't know, it's an old boy network, and it's really hard to get into. And if you're a first-time author, you've almost got no chance. And that's why we opened up.
Well, you do a fantastic job, and greatly appreciated all your insight, and also how quickly we got this thing out into.
We were trying to get it out as fast as we could. I mean, usually it takes anywhere from 18 months to 2 years with the pre-publicity and everything. But we really sped things up with your book because we wanted to get it out. I'm sorry, but my being in the hospital slowed it up a little more than we had hoped for. But we really were working fast, working hard on it.
Pauline, I think you did a remarkable job, and I'm so grateful that I met you. Jo and I met at the public libraries, Las Vegas Public Libraries, because she was presenting on how to pitch a book. And I brought a friend with me and a book, and I thought it would encourage him to finish his book. And so that's how our relationship started. And that's another example of, you know, stepping out there and helping others, which is exactly what you did, Jo. So thank you so much. And
all right.
working with Jo Wilkins.
Oh, okay. Thank you for asking me.